So I know that you came up in the New York scene, and
Yes.
I can only imagine the number of just god awful bar shows in between New
Hmm.
York and Jersey and Connecticut that you probably found yourself in, especially when you're a young comic and you will
Hmm.
do anything for stage time. Are there any that jump out, to you immediately?
Oh yeah, there's a famous hell gig. It's called Betty's Fireside. It was in New Jersey. We used to call it the Bucket of Blood. Musicians used to call Max's Kansas City, a bar in the city, called the Bucket of Blood. But most of the comics in the tri-state area that played this gig would call it the
Okay.
Bucket of Blood. It was awful, and I did it with a guy named Vince. First of all, I worked a lot, Colin, because I had a car and I was
Right.
on time,
Right.
so I could drive. So what you would do is you would pick up the headliners in the city, because I was from Long Island. So you drive into the city, and the Improv used to be on 44th and 10th. So you would meet everyone on 44th and 10th. You would pick up the headliners. You drive them to the gig, and then you would drop them off at 44th and 10th, and they would take a cab to go home wherever it was. So I was always on time. Car was clean. When we came back from the gig, I would always tell everybody, I said, look, you're going to get out of a car to get into a car to take a cab home. Where do you live? I'll drop you off. So all the headliners said, I want to work with Adam. So that's how I worked a lot.
Okay.
So I would do all these road gigs, and one of them was the Bucket of Blood, Betty's Fireside. So I did it with a guy named Vince D'Antona and George.
Right.
It was a ventriloquist act. Vince was
It's off to a good start.
yeah. Vince was a Vietnam veteran. I don't know if George served, but I know Vince did.
Right.
So I'd pick him up, and he was telling me about this gig. He's like, hey, listen, this gig, I did this thing 10 years ago. It was awful then. It's probably still awful now. I think they changed management or something. I just want to prepare you, kid. You seem like a young, eager kid, and I don't want you to get your feelings hurt. The opening guy gets it worse. At least you're like the penguin we throw into the icy water, and then me and George go up. But it's a shitty gig, so don't let it get to you if you bomb. It's okay. Thank you very much.
Now,
And for some, what?
Are you at this point, because I feel like you probably have heard that this was going to be a bad gig, maybe from friends, or you had heard that this.
Oh, yeah, it was legendary.
So is there a part of you that's thinking like, well, not me. It will be different for me. I know there's a lot of people that have done this, but I'm going to be fine. It won't be an issue for me. I'm going to kill it.
No. Are you a comic? Where did you find this confidence?
Well, I feel like comics are a little bit delusional in the sense that, like, they've heard, yeah, it wasn't good. I didn't have a good time there. And it's always like, yeah, I'll be all right. How bad can it be? Maybe not that you'll kill, but you'll, like, how bad can it really be? You always feel.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. At that point in my career, I was just grateful for the stage time. I knew it was going to suck.
Okay.
But I also knew enough. I knew enough to realize that the big break wasn't happening at this gig.
Right.
I didn't. Yeah, there was no industry at Betty's Fireside, New Jersey.
Right.
No one's going to jump up from the back, come running out of the kitchen, going, "That face! I need that face for my next production." It's not.
William Morris isn't coming out from behind the griddle.
Yeah, no,
like, we've got him. Yeah.
Yeah. Who's that guy flipping burgers? That's Judd Apatow. No.
Right, yeah. Okay.
So I think if I remember, and it was so long ago, Pally, but if I remember correctly, I was just like, okay, I just want to get through it. I want to do my time. That's what I remember. I was being concerned with doing my time, because at that point I worked because I had a car. I was also funny, and I had a great 10, 15 minutes. But when you open, you got to do, 25 an hour, a half, especially on a 2-man show, at least a half. So I would take my best stuff to open with. I would build a little bridge so I can go into the audience and work the audience for about 10, 15 minutes to fill time, and then go back and close strong. I figured if I can get them, if I can hook them, drag them, and then close strong, I'll be okay.
Of course.
So I remember I was being concerned about the middle part because I didn't know how bad it was going to get. So, but by no means did I think I'll be fine. And yeah, this doesn't apply to me.
Okay.
So I get there, we walk in, and yeah, it's people they've been day drinking. So, it's not like someone was warming up the crowd,
Right.
Yeah, when Rodrigo 151 rum is your warm up act, you're in for a rough ride.
It's going to be a long night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they introduce me. I go up and it's whipping chair stuff, man. They're ready for a fight. It's like I owed them money. I mean, I had no. They weren't really listening. It was kind of that whipping chair lion tamer shit.
Right.
So,
It's funny. Some of these shows you go into, and it's like, did I interrupt something? Did you all
yeah.
here? Am I surprising you? You know.
I wanted to go up and go, is this a bad time?
Right. Right. Exactly. Right.
Yeah. So, but I wrestled a little bit. I got a couple of laughs. What made me happy at the time was the wait staff stopped in the back. And any comic knows that if you can get the wait staff to watch you,
right,
you got them. So even at that young age, I knew there was a couple of waitresses just watching me. So I don't know if they felt sorry for me. I don't know if they were calling an ambulance. I don't know what they were doing, but
right.
I had their attention.
They're calling the police. They're like, bring the riot gear. We may need it.
Yeah. Yeah. This guy's doing voices. They don't like that.
They don't like voices, right?
So I get through it. I can't remember how I didn't do well.
Okay.
But I didn't. But I did my job. If that makes any sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes as the opener, all you can do is make sure the show doesn't stop while you're on stage.
Yeah.
As long as there's still a show to be had by the time you get done, you've kind of done the best you could.
Yeah. And in those shitty gigs, you're like the Marines hitting the beach.
Right.
You're taking fire. You're trying to clear a path, and hopefully you secure a beachhead, and then you can let the supplies and tanks and shit come in. That's all you can.
Yeah. As long as they're quiet by the time you get off stage, you've done your job.
So basically, let's call this Anzio for your World War II fans.
Okay. All right.
So I bring up Vince D'Antona and George, and they remembered him.
Oh, my
He was there 10 years ago. They remembered him. He's got the puppet. He's sitting there doing the act. And from the back, we heard some of the guy. I think the guy actually fucking worked there. He actually said, I thought we told you to get the fuck out of here. Like, Jesus,
oh, my.
It was 10 years ago.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
So he didn't, not only did they remember, nothing new. There's nothing new. The puppet is still the same. Right.
Puppet's the same, act's the same, and the anger and disdain is the same. And they were yelling at him.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
So did he do his full time?
I think he went short or anything. I think I don't think it was. Again, it wasn't just getting out of there was the goal. He
right.
was yelling at him. The puppet was yelling at him. At some point he was yelling at someone like this, and the puppet went down like this. He was like, "Fuck you!" And he put the puppet back. I remember that.
So, when that wall breaks, when you break that fourth wall, that now there is no more puppet. It's just me versus you.
Yeah.
That's when things have gone bad.
Yeah. It didn't come out through the puppet. It came out through him, and he put the puppet down. Not even put it down, but he went like this, and then came back. Because if I remember correctly, it's a little vague, but I think somebody insulted the puppet, and he was like, "I'll take care of this." That's how fucked up these people were. They were yelling at a puppet.
Right. They were so mad at everything involved that even a puppet, they were going to let it know they weren't happy it was there.
Yeah, like the fucking thing's made of wood. You don't get that?
I'll teach that little son of a bitch.
Okay.
Right. Why'd they let that little kid on stage? Yeah. Miserable. So you're watching this.
Fuck you, down. Pinocchio.
Right, exactly. Like these people, you're watching this go down, and are you at any point are you like, this is par for the course, or do you realize this is total insanity?
I remember when it was going down. I tried to get paid.
Oh yeah.
I tried to get paid, and I was thinking I should move the car.
Oh my God.
Yeah, because I bet I was a kid, but I've been in enough twitchy situations to know. Yeah, we're gonna have to get out of here. I didn't, but I remember the thought was coming across my mind. But I remember I did. I tried to get paid because in those days they'd pay you right out of the register. They'd give you cash and pay you right out of the register.
Right.
So I remember I got paid when I got paid before he got off.
Holy crap! So now you have to drive him back though to New York.
Yeah, we finished the show. He got paid. I mean, the owners kind of knew because this shit happens every week,
Right.
So the owners kind of knew. It was like, look, as long as you filled your time and they were drinking, they really didn't give a shit. I hazard a guess, Colin, to say they weren't there for the art.
No, they weren't. They were not there to respect the art of stand-up comedy. No.
Now,
So now this guy, is he completely unfazed by this?
yeah, he knew what it was going in. He knew X amount of money. He knew this would pay his phone bill or whatever the hell it was. He got in the car, just got in the car, and he went, I thought it was bad. I didn't think they're going to remember me. Anyway, and he just started talking about something else.
Right.
That was it.
He's talking about the Mets like it's no big deal.
Like it's nothing. He didn't give a shit. He knew he was there for whatever money they were going to give him. He knew he was going to fight on stage, but it didn't. His identity wasn't connected to the outcome of this gig. He wasn't working on new shit. He was just.
He's not like, well, that tag that I had where the puppet pinches me didn't go as well as I wanted, but
Yeah. My new topical shit worked. He didn't care about any of that thing. It was geek money.
Now, were you rattled at all? Like going home? Were you like, oh.
Yeah. I was a little unsettled because I was like, because you're young. You're like, I don't want to get a bad report.
Right.
God, I'm never going to work again. This guy's going to tell the booker I died,
Yeah.
So I was caught up in that monkey house.
You always feel like the gig that you're at is the biggest gig. No matter how bad it is, you think that gig is going to make or break you, I think, when you're young.
Yeah, but even in this case, I knew that this wasn't going to – I was doing enough of these shitty bars to realize the big break wasn't happening, but you still wanted to do your time and you wanted to get a good report because that's how you kept working. So I was getting it on both ends. I was getting the comics that wanted to work with me because, like I said, I was on time and I drove them home. And I wanted the booker to say, yeah, he's funny, he's good. And I accomplished both of them. The nice thing about going into that was, I knew that this was just the stories were so legendary. Nothing I was going to do was going to change.
Right.
Was going to change everybody's mind.
Right. Yeah. That's fantastic. So then you just drop this guy off and he's like, all right, have a good night. And you go and that's it. You're a little bit fazed by it in the moment, maybe, but did you carry it with you for a couple days after? Like, oh, geez, I don't know. Or was it just till your next gig?
No, I think I was lucky because I had a chance. I got booked again. And the booker's name, I'll say John Shula in Connecticut. He was a guy that used to book gigs, or maybe it was Linda Rowe, or I forget who booked the gig. But whoever did book it at the time, I got a call to someone got ill and I had to fill in 2 days later. So I kind of sat with, well, that kind of sucked. But I still had a day job at the time. I was washing dishes. I was a dishwasher, so I can go out at night.
Okay.
So there was enough of shit for me to do, not to be totally crazy about the gig. And I had enough preparation going into it, knowing it was going to suck, that I didn't spin. Like I've spun on a lot of gigs. When you die, the next thing you want to do is get on stage. For me, anyway. I said, I got to get back on the horse.
You're trying to chase that taste out of your mouth so quickly.
Yeah. I remember dying it. There was a place, there was Grandpa's in Staten Island.
Oh, my God. The names of these places are so funny.
Well, it was owned by Al Lewis, who played Grandpa on The Munsters.
That is hilarious.
Yeah, it had his face on the bumper sticker, and it was fucking Staten Island. So it was, it was a landfill.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just garbage. Oh,
it's just a landfill. So you go to Staten Island, and I got a lot of friends from Staten Island. They even know. You go down New Dorp Road, and you're like, yeah, that smell, that's home. So I died so bad there one night, and I was so twitchy coming home. I tried to make the guy at the toll booth laugh. I was digging for change and trying to make it just to get the laugh, to get the reinforcement that that was an anomaly. I'm still funny.
Right. It's so funny what we'll do to try to remind ourselves. The other day, we had some friends come by. We were all hanging out on an outside porch, and I swear, like nothing I was saying was funny for some reason. And I haven't, with everything going on right now, no one's been on stage, but I was like so adamant of getting a laugh that as they were all leaving, I'm trying to basically close this hang this hangout with like a bit about the coronavirus, and it died
Right.
so bad that I walked in and the house after, and I was just like, how could they not laugh at that? Like, I'm not mad at them that they're like, what are they don't get humor, they don't like
Yeah.
jokes, you know, where
They probably got the virus. It's affecting their sense of humor.
right. Oh God, just talking to the toll booth guy, I could totally, I mean, there have been nights, you know, like when you're at some of these improvs and funny bones, you go like to the little convenience store at like midnight, and you're just like making small talk with the cash register guy there. You know, there have been nights where I remember I died in Tampa at the Improv in Tampa, and I was trying to like riff with the guy at the market at the little bodega there, and I was like, is this what I've become? I'm doing crowd
Is this
work.
what I've become?
You know?
Yeah, well, listen, I played the Improv in Tampa. It's not you.
Right. No. Yeah. They
It's 3 tiers. First of all, the ceiling has 3 tiers.
yeah, it's the theater you'd think Lincoln would have been assassinated in, and
Yeah.
there's 200 people eating chicken wings. Yeah.
And they get the chickens from outside because you walk to the gig and there's roosters.
That city, that Ybor city is, I can't believe it exists.
Yeah.
It shouldn't, it's crazy. It's just like cigar shops and like people strung out on meth. That's
Yeah,
it.
there's tattoo parlors, cigar shops, there's a bodega.
Right.
And it's like human country safari when you walk into the gig.
It's crazy. It's total anarchy. I know that from talking a little bit before that you have a fantastic story about a corporate gig, and I don't know how many people would know that, you know, these corporate gigs are not shows that you go into, I think, ever thinking like, well, I'm gonna blow the roof off of the place.
No,
You know,
you do it for the money.
You do it for the money. It's you put on a nice shirt and a nice pair of pants. It's usually not set up well, but you'd think that like, well, as long as someone can bring me on stage and introduce me with some level of confidence, I could take it from there. And you have maybe one of the most unique ways you were introed on stage at a corporate gig. I don't think I've ever heard anyone like this at all.
It was the Fontainebleau Hotel in Miami, and it was a corporate gig for cancer doctors.
Okay.
And they asked for me. I think I was on Rescue Me at the time. And, you know, your name comes up. The agent puts your name. They pick you. So you come down. So they asked me to come down. Okay, great. So, you know, it's like you said. You put on a suit. Don't say fuck, you know?
Right.
And you try not to do, not blue material, but you realize that these people are in a work environment, even though it's not work.
Right.
So you don't want to do material like the next day if they go back, they go, did you see Frank laughing at that joke? You know what that means, you know?
Right. Yeah.
So it's still an away game is what I'm trying to say. It's, you know, anytime you go to them, it's an away game. So you got to know that you're playing to that. Those are the circumstances that you're playing to. So I figured, but you're absolutely right. If I get a decent intro, I'll be all right. I've done this before. I know.
That's the only thing they have to do. That's it. Forget the lights and the sound. You know, they do as best they could. All they have to do is bring you on stage with some level of confidence and clarity, and then you can take it from there.
Yeah. And if you can, go up before the dinner, because the last thing you want to do is have them rattling plates and they're digesting and burping at you.
Right.
Yeah, go up before they're eating, and go up before the fucking auction, because no one has to run the silent auction to raise money, and that's going to go on forever. And go up before like Hal from accounting wants to tell his cute story about the vacation because he's going to fucking die. You don't want to clean up a mess, is what I'm saying.
Right. Okay.
So the guy says, you know, I gave my intro. You know, my manager sent the intro over. It's 3 beat, and keep your intro short. Don't give them shit to read, because what they usually do is read the bio. And you're dying. They're up to Adam Ferrara started his debut in 19. You know, they just go through this whole, and they read the whole thing, and no one gives a shit. Give them 3 things to say. Just get on stage. Now, I thought everything was fine. So the doctor makes his speech. They agreed to let me go up before dinner. So the guy that did the little speech before that had to end his speech and bring me up. And they're cancer doctors, so they're talking about whatever doctors talk about. And there's 2 big slides. There's 2 big like screens, and there's a slide here and a slide over here of 2 cells, and they're talking about whatever they're talking about. So this doctor he's a doctor. He don't know how to bring anybody up.
Right.
So he's mixing my intro in with the end of his speech.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So he's like, and it was, and Carl from Minnesota has done wonderful work. His results will be in next week's journal report. Our comedian tonight is Adam Ferrara from the show Rescue Me. We have to be diligent and help each other because remember, there's still no cure. And he walks off stage.
Oh my God. So
I wasn't even the last beat of the intro. I was in the middle.
Right.
And it was not like, let's have a hand for.
Nothing. No, nothing to let them know the show is starting.
Now, so he walks stage left, I'm stage right. I come out to dead silence, the people staring. They don't even know who I am. This could be Adam. We don't know. So he leaves. I walk out, and I grabbed the mic. I said, hi, everybody. My name is Adam Ferrara. I want to thank Dr. whatever his name for that lovely intro. I take the mic stand out. He's right. There is no cure. So just a quick review before I begin. Benign, malignant. Benign, malignant. Nothing.
Oh, no.
Nothing. I pointed to 2 cells, tried it, nothing. And they kept the cells up there.
Oh, my God. You performed in front of cancer cells the whole time?
1 healthy cell and 1 cancer cell, and I'm in the middle somewhere.
Oh, I mean, you know, if there's not a brick wall backdrop, that's fine. But, God, 2 healthy and a cancer cell.
Yeah.
So it's just on people's mind the whole time.
Yeah. So I got to dig out of this hole.
And
I ended up doing great. I ended up killing because I just, you know, it's like any comic makes fun of the situation.
Right.
So that's what I did, and I got a little bit of chuckles after that, and then I found my way in, and then it was fine after that. But that was just like digging out.
The idea that like you went up there and you're like, I'm gonna say something specific to what's the situation. I'm gonna riff. It's gonna go well. You're so hell-bent on that working. So the rest of your set, you're like, I'll just ride that wave for 45 minutes. And I know exactly how that feels like to go up there, say something. You're like, there's no way this won't work. They're going to love this. They're going to love this little quick riff, this little improv thing. And then I'll go into my material, which I know is going to go great. And when that first thing fails, you're like, dear God, the parachute has not opened.
Yeah.
You're just free falling.
Yeah.
However long it is. God. So the rest of the gig was good though.
Yeah, it turned out to be fine. You know, you get past that little thing and you acknowledge what is, and that's it.
Yeah. At any point, did anyone say like, "Hey, the whole cell thing was a little odd"? Did anyone bring it up or?
No, I think they kind of forgot about it by the time I was done. Because you know, after you finish that, you know, because I had them to go, they had the dinner to go to afterwards, so I was far enough away from it. You know, usually sometimes they'll say, nah, you're closing the show. You're the keynote speaker and all that bullshit. So you got to go last. So then you just got to make sure there's enough time. And you got to make sure that the dessert and the coffee plates are off the tables before you go up.
Now, are you a hanger after like these corporates? Because sometimes they'll be like, stick around, have a drink, have some food, mingle a little bit. Or do you get out of Dodge as soon as you get the money?
If it's not part of if there's a meet and greet in the contract, you know, you shake hands, you kiss babies.
Right.
You hang around, you know, you shake hands, kiss babies, take pictures. But if they just want to see the show, then get the car running.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. That's always the best when you hear, at least as as an opener or a middle act, like when you hear the headliner or like the guy that booked you or the girl that booked you go, and we'll just close the show after, or we'll take it from there. You're like, thank God. Like as soon as I am done, I am walking to my car.
Yeah, you can't win. You can't win in that afterwards. But the best getting out of Dodge story was we're doing the Rescue Me comedy tour. We're at the Tower Theater in Philadelphia. Okay. So the way the show went is Dennis Leary would go up. He would do a half hour to open the show with a band. You know, the band would play a song, bring out Dennis. Dennis did a half hour welcoming everybody. He hosts the whole show. It's his show. Then the band plays a song, and then Kenny Rogerson would go up. Then the band plays a song, then Lenny Clark would go up. Then the band plays a song, and then I would go up, and then we sing the asshole song, and we throw T-shirts out into the audience, and we're gone. So this was in Philadelphia. So me and Dennis drove down from New York, and we were going to drive back right after the show. So he pulls me aside. He goes, listen, after you're set, jump in the car, and we're just gonna get the hell out of here. I said, okay, great. So we finished the Tower Theater. We get out. We're in a loading dock, and I got my car is pointed towards the highway. We get in the car. He jumps in there. We got a police escort to the highway. That was cool.
So he just wanted to get out of there. It was like that.
Dennis loaded himself in the car. I was driving, and there was 2 cops there. And went, follow me. Lights, running through lights and shit, and put us right on the highway and just sent us back to New York.
Wow, that's the coolest. You must have felt like, that like.
Oh yeah.
Just like getting out of town. Yeah, that's the
that with a police escort. I've had that a couple times on Top Gear. That's really cool. But yeah, that was the first time I ever had a police escort, and that was great. And I was thinking to myself, this is great. I feel like, I hope it's not like Kennedy where we make a left on Elm and just pew.
Right. Yeah. Right. You're like, are they leading us? Like, if you're in Philly, they're like, are they going to lead us down like Broad Street? And there's just a bunch of people in Flyers jerseys trying to flip our cars.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. My God, I don't know if this has happened to you with some of these corporate gigs, but do you ever get the thing where they'll say, if sometimes they eat before, and you'll get there as they're eating, and the show will be after dinner, and then they'll go, feel free to make a plate and have a seat and have dinner. And I always, as hungry as I could possibly be, and as much as as a comic wants a free meal, the idea that these people are going to see me in line putting sauteed potatoes and stuffed chicken breast on my plate, and then 20 minutes they're going to see me on stage, be like, wasn't that the kid that spilled that had all the green beans on his plate? I can't do it. I'll miss the meal. I'll go eat at a Wendy's after.
Yeah, I'd rather eat from the minibar, pay a fortune, and still be hungry than mingle. I'm not eating with the audience. I'm not. It's like I did the Just for Laughs had a resort gig where you do 2 nights. You do a Friday, you do a Saturday.
Yeah.
And I was at this resort it was Mexico. It might have been Acapulco. I forget where it was. So you do the first night, and then you're there, and there's nothing else to do. I have to get room service because I don't like to live with the audience. I don't like that.
Right.
There's no.
There should be a little bit of separation.
Yeah, okay, because it's just I don't want to hear you, Joe. I don't want to hear. It's that, like, I appreciate people that like it, but there's a boundary that they're not aware of. And hi, you can use this in your act, and it's the most racist and offensive shit they're gonna tell you.
God,
and you gotta paste a smile on your face, like, oh,
yeah. You're not looking for water cooler talk,
Yeah.
And it is a weird thing. Why is it with comedy that like people, when you're done off stage, some people think they can approach you and act as if you're coworkers, act as if they're on the same level.
Well, because we're both confessional comics, and you've opened your life to these people, and you've invited them in so they can laugh. So there's that familiarity, even like being on TV. I've been in these people's living rooms. So they know we're at a disadvantage because they know me. I've had people come up and I've had people get angry at me. They came up and did lines from a TV show I was on and I don't remember. And they're like, I can't believe you don't fucking remember. I mean, you said that in this scene. And I was like,
that is insane. That is crazy. And you're like, but also, I don't owe you anything. I don't know you, like they get upset. Yeah, that's so funny. It's like we just met. It would be so odd, like if you approached like at this cancer fundraiser, like they're like, hey, what if you said this, about how your mom talks, huh? What do you think? My mom, she says this. It's like you're not telling them how to like split cells. You're not like, have you tried this? That's so funny. God, and it is always like when. No, I don't want to give people the total short end of the stick, but most of the times when people do approach you with a joke after, it is something that you are like looking around like, please do not say that any louder because I'm uncomfortable.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And we hear horrible things all the time.
I like when they clean up the language, but the intention of the joke is still mean and offensive.
Right, right. You don't have to
I'll
say
use the proper PC term, but it's still a hateful intention. Oh, well, that's much better.
Right, yeah. They're like, well, you don't have to say broads, but the whole joke is about how women shouldn't vote. It's like, okay. Well,
Yeah.
I'm not sure saying women's going to help. You know, my God, that is fantastic. Well, you survived the bucket of blood. You survived the corporate gigs. And do you think that, are you still susceptible to taking some of these bad gigs, or do you have a good radar of being able to notice them before they get to you?
Well, it's now it's just, well, you don't, if they're corporate gigs, you don't know what you're in for. You
Right.
just, where, how much, okay, but the clubs I work, I'm very fortunate that I can go back to the places I love to work, and
Yeah.
and the new places that pop up, I could always make a call to someone who's been there before, at this point.
Right.
And how's this theater? How's the green room? How's the catering? You can ask those questions now. But we're also different comics now. I'm going into it where I know whatever has happened. I know I'm comfortable in my ability to prevail, or my ability to do my job. It's like when you said, when people come up to you after a show, it's a different world now, because now with social media and everything, there's a meet and greet after every show. I mean, we've worked together. I like to shake hands and thank people for listening to my podcast, and
Right.
thank them for coming. It's a different thing because I invited you. It's like, I don't understand the comics that are like in the green room, like, oh, I fucking hate doing this. I started this shit. I told you I was going to be here.
Right.
I asked you to come,
Yeah, that's great.
I'll have to suffer through that joke because I started all this stuff,
Yeah, that's fantastic.
I solicited you being here, so I want to give you an experience.
So you come back.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's a great point. Well, Adam, I can't thank you enough for doing this. I really appreciate it.
Good to see you, my friend. I just have a quick question about your set. I like it. You look like you're at a garage in Chicago on Valentine's Day, so please be careful.
Thanks. Yeah, I like this. This is like an ISIS snuff film. That's what I was going for. like it looks like they should be ripping an American flag behind me, and then I'm like,
Yeah.
Please, we don't give in to terrorism. Yeah.
You should be blinking SOS.
Yeah, right. I miss my wife and kids. But tell the good people where they can find you. I mean, you have a fantastic podcast, and let the people that are listening to this know. Basically, my dad. Let my dad know where he can find you.
Mr. Chamberlain, wherever you get your podcast, you can get the Adam Ferrara podcast. 30 minutes, you'll never get back. And you can get me on all socials at Adam Ferrara. I used to tour a great deal, but now there's something in the air.
Right. Yeah. Everyone's a little. Everyone's staying home. We're taking a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Off, so.
But when all this breaks, we'll go out. We'll go out again, my friend, and we'll have some laughs. Okay.
I can't wait. Good to talk to you, and thanks again for doing this.
You too, brother. If you see it, wash it. All right.
All right. Thanks, buddy.
I'll talk to you later, baby.